steering column install video. Take 1. Alright, on this next video we're going to show you guys how to install an aftermarket steering column into our 1966 GMC truck. We got our brake pedal assembly, master cylinder all figured out. Now we've got to reinstall this original mounting bracket for the steering column. You don't have to use that if you want, but it's got a lot of nice features already included in it. Like, it's already got the brake switch mounted in there. It's already got a nice little cradle here to hold the column. It bolts right up to the brake pedal bracket, which is why I like using these brake pedal brackets. And it's got a mounting point for this guy. What is that? It's not a pump. It's an e-brake handle. We'll say, you say, why do you use that clunky old thing? A lot of people, that's one of the first things they throw away on these old trucks. Well, I called old Delmo up. Well, I messaged him on Instagram and said, hey Delmo, can I use one of your ideas? And so basically what we're going to do here is we're going to use one of Delmo's ideas on how to turn the e-brake, original e-brake arm into our shifter for our automatic transmission. Yep. So basically we're going to turn this cable into a push-pull cable. We're going to change the detents on this little gear, and that's going to control our manual shifting for the transmission. That way we can keep the column nice and clean. We're not going to have any shift levers or anything on the column. The only thing we're going to have on the column is a tilt lever and a turn signal. So let me get this bracket bolted in, and we'll show you how to transfer the hole into the firewall. So basically what we need to figure out is where it needs to come through the firewall. We need to project a line onto the firewall and then drill that hole, and then we're going to show you guys how to make a real cool little transition bung that looks good on the outside and functions on the inside. So first we want to put our steering column bracket on there. We're going to slide this down until it hits the firewall. Now you want to rotate it and you want to side it back like this and get the side to side just right so that it's not crooked in your truck, because we have nothing down here to keep it from being crooked except for you. Okay, so I knew we were going to be really close to that bracket, so basically we can be right on that bracket almost. We're going to make it so it's only about 1/8 of an inch away from the bracket and then transfer that hole. So I'm going to erase this line that's on there now and show you guys how to do it again. I got a little bit of lacquer thinner on here. Just going to clean that off. Okay, we're going to have a circle template handy. We're going to need that here in a minute. This column diameter is 2 inches. I've already measured it, and so we've got a 2-inch circle right here. We're going to use in a minute. Actually, no, we're going to use a 2.5 because the outside diameter of the bung that we're using is 2.5. So you need to kind of think that through before you do this, because it's a lot easier to drill a larger hole with a 1/4-inch pilot hole. So if you can kind of think ahead, that'll be good. All right, now we're going to just use a regular Sharpie marker. You want to make sure this is straight the way you want it. We're getting really close to our bracket right there, but that's okay. Okay, now what you do is you take the Sharpie marker and you just rest it right on the side of the column. And then you keep it parallel with the column. And then you follow it around like that. I can't get all the way across the top, but we'll connect the dots here in a minute. Make sure it stays parallel with the column. Go all the way around like that. Okay, now that's going to be enough information to get us centered in there exactly where we want that hole. Take the column out. And now we can use our circle template. So this hole in here is actually going to be a little bit of an ellipse. It's not going to be a perfect circle, but we don't have an ellipse hole saw. So we can probably, we can make our pilot hole based off of in here, drill a 1/4-inch hole, and then from the outside, we can drill upwards at the angle of the steering column, and that might get us the ellipse that we need. Okay, so we want a 2.5. So first I'm going to draw a center line. Right at the base of that ellipse and right at the top of the ellipse. And then we're going to make the crosshairs. And then we're going to go right on the side, right on the side. Alright, so really that's all we need right now is that center point. We're going to drill a 1/4 inch hole. Alright, we cut off a chunk of this DOM tubing. It's 2.5 inch outside diameter with half wall thickness. That's pretty stout stuff. We got to carve the inside out to make it the correct diameter for our steering column. And then we're going to round the corner a little bit to make it look a little nicer. Alright, we're getting ready to bore the inside of this piece of DOM tubing here. We need to match our steering column outside diameter. Actually, we're going to make it slightly bigger than 2 inches. The column is 2 inches. We're going to make it like 2 and, let's see, 2.125 would be, yeah, let's do 2 and an 8. That'll give us a 1/16 of an inch of clearance all the way around it. That'll give us enough room for paint powder coat. You don't want it so tight that when you have to beat the column in there and it scratches it all up when you put it in. So we leave this a little bit more. What we can do is put like some masking tape or electrical tape around the end of our painted column during assembly, and then once it pokes through, we just unwrap it and it'll be nice. Okay, so 2.125 is the magic number. We got a long ways to go. Still got about an 1/8 of an inch to go, so that's probably right at 2 inches right there. Alright, now while we got it sitting right there clamped in the lathe, we're going to basically use the lathe as a clamp, put it in low gear, so it's really hard to spin this right now, okay? So this is going to be the side or the face that's going to be inside the truck. It's got a flat surface on it. We're not rounding that one off like we did on the outside. And that's because I want to utilize that flat surface as a sealing surface to keep fumes out of the truck. I'll show you the other half of that here in a minute. But another thing we're going to do is we're going to drill and tap this and put a set screw right into this metal. That way we can lock it down and hold the column in place. So I got to go get a drill bit and a tap. We'll power tap this right here. All right, we got our bushing made on the lathe. We carved out the inside to fit the outside diameter of the column. Made it slightly bigger, drilled and tapped this set screw hole. You always want to make sure everything fits before you do final install. So that went on there fairly easy. We got a decent gap around it. We don't want any more gap than that, but that'll be good. So now we got to make sure this fits in the firewall, and it should go right in there because we drilled it at an angle. So basically, it's ready to weld in there. So now when we tack that in, what we want to do is slide this on the column. Actually, we got to make one more ring first, but we're going to slide both of those on the column, lock them on the column. Well, we'll set the column in here, get the depth where we want it, lock that set screw, and that basically is going to hold this right where we want it in relation to the column. It's going to make sure our angle is correct and everything, and with the column in there, then we'll tack it to the firewall. Now we're getting ready to machine another ring out of the same DOM tubing that we made the firewall bushing out of. This one we're going to machine the inside diameter slightly tighter to the column, so we want it to be a snug fit because this one's going to get welded to the column. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to be a sealing ring so that when the column slides in there, those two surfaces mate like this. And so during final assembly, we'll be able to put a gasket in there, and that'll completely seal out all the fumes from the steering column hull. Okay, so all we're going to do on this one is face the surfaces flat and then bore the inside diameter to 2 inches. All right, we're getting real close to getting this thing tacked in the firewall here. This is our bung for the firewall. This is our collar that's machined to fit a little bit more snug around the steering column. This is a used column, so had some paint on it. So we ground the paint down to bare metal, and this ring is gonna get welded somewhere in here, and then this will get welded to the firewall somewhere. So the first thing we need to do is we need to position this on the firewall and put 2 tacks, one on each side, not on the top and the bottom. We want to put the tacks on the side, and that's going to allow us to rotate it like this on the tack welds to get it just perfect. Then we'll slide the column down in there, tighten everything up, get our position of our column where we want it, and then weld the ring to the column and weld this sleeve to the firewall. So we want to make sure that we protrude the column in far enough to get these wires past the dash. There we go. Okay, the wires are past the dash. Now I want to go out and look at the outside and see how far the column is protruding out of that bushing. See, I just want to make sure that the column sticks out past the bushing a little bit. All right, now we want to get the rotation right. So with the column tilted, it's easy to see whether or not it's rotated correctly. So I'm just kind of sitting straight back from the steering column and eyeballing that right now to make sure that it's tilting perfectly straight forward. So about right there is where we want it. So I'm going to put a witness mark on here just to make sure we can line it up easily next time. That'll make sure our rotation is correct. Okay, now the last thing I want to check is driver comfort here. So we don't have a seat in here right now, so we got to kind of pretend like we have a seat in here.
Maybe the old apple crate.
Yeah, I need a crate or something to sit on. Basically, just want to kind of get in here where we're going to be. I think that somewhere in here is going to be okay. Hang on, I need a steering wheel. Oh yeah, so that's a good thing I did that because that already feels like it's too close. All right, I got the tilt where it's operational now. Usually I like to set it up with it straight for a distance feel. That's way too tall. We need to go down some more. So usually you want that pretty close to the dash. Oh, it stopped because I hit some tape, so I got to clean the paint up a little bit further. See under there? Probably need to go down a little bit more. Well, that's where it's going. We pushed it down about another ½ inch. We're gonna call that good. All right, I've got my welding pedal down here in the tunnel. So now we are ready to tack weld the ring to the column and finish tacking the sleeve to the firewall. You notice how we're just barely clearing that bracket. That's exactly where we wanted it. All right, we got enough tacks on everything. Now we can take it all back apart. And now every time the column goes in, boom, it's gonna clunk on that collar. So depth-wise, it'll always go in exactly the same. And then all we have to think about then is getting the rotation right with this set screw. So, and actually if you wanted to, what you could do right now is just tighten that real tight into the column. That'll leave a little mark on the metal. And then when we take that out, we can drill a hole in the column right there so that the set screw actually buries into the column, and that'll ensure that the rotation is right every time also. So let's do that. We'll just make it basically real idiot proof here. Okay. So now this time we can't slide it straight out. We have to drop this down because the collar's on there. Uh-oh. Now we got another issue. It's hitting our bracket that was oh so close to everything. Okay, that's gonna be a problem. Well, it's not a major problem. We'll just have to take the bracket loose. All right, now we got the column out of there. I'm gonna finish welding the inside of this sleeve to the firewall. And then we'll go drill that set screw hole. All right, let's go weld the ring on the column and drill that hole for the set screw. Look at that. Clocked it perfectly. Boom. Nice. Everything works nice and clean and smooth. All right, so we're gonna have to do something here later. We'll have to, probably what we'll do is put some rubber around the column right there, like a piece of rubber hose or something, and that'll isolate it up here. But for now, that's good enough. All right, who's ready to grab some gears and get the heck out of here? We got steering column, we got brakes. Now all we need is the real engine and transmission. We'll be good to go. Is that good? Thank you for watching our latest video. If you guys would like to see more of what we have to offer here at HammerFab, such as our dimple dies, our bead roller dies, our assembly hammers, and everything else fabricated related, go to HammerFab.com. Thanks for watching.